Hello, all my chickadees. Welcome. Today, we're going to be reading one of my favorite Danmeis because it is Mermay, and why would we not cover the disabled tyrant's beloved pet fish when we have the chance? Oh, hello, kitty. Hello. Hello, kitty, kitty, kitty. Draco decided he needed to pop up and say hi to everybody. Hi. He's not that talkative unless it's food time. Oh, okay, come on then if you're coming in. Hello, hello, Tamaki Shadows. Hi, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for popping in. I am so excited. Have you heard about this book before? Oh, Draco, pick a corner. Oh my goodness. Okay, my model freaks out. It's because he decides he needs to sit under my chin. Oh, okay. He's moving to his shoulder. Okay, as soon as Kitty settles, we're gonna dive on in. Really? Your tail's wet. You got it in my tea. Oh, goodness. Okay, settle down. Alright. This book is called The Disabled Tyrant's Beloved Pet Fish. It is a total of 4 volumes long. We're just going to read what we can today, and if everybody likes it, we can possibly have another stream in the future. Really? Really? My goodness. Oh, you've heard of it before? Awesome. Ah, wrong button. Alrighty. Okay, let's dive on in. Look at, first off, let's appreciate the cover art. Here is the disabled tyrant. He is quite gorgeous, as you can see. And I love how detailed they drew his room. It's just, mwah, chef's kiss to look at. And this bowl is quite accurate for what it says in the book. And it looks like he's feeding a little fish, so that's our fish, right? Alright, here we go. Chapter 1. The Fish in the Soup. Li Yu floated on the surface of the freezing cold water, utterly motionless. He could vaguely hear the muffled noises of people moving around from somewhere above his head, but it was difficult to make out anything clearly. It was a little noisy, though, so he flipped over and opened his eyes. His entire body felt wet. After the initial shock, his mind gradually began to clear. With dawning terror, he realized he was surrounded by water. That was impossible. Hadn't he fallen asleep after staying up reading web novels? When did he fall into water? More importantly, he couldn't even swim. Li Yu flailed his arms wildly. As he struggled, he felt something on his back move. In the past, whenever he fell into water, the only fate that awaited him was sinking to the bottom. But to his surprise, this time, he found he didn't plunge straight down. Instead, he was staying aloft, as if an invisible hand was holding him up. And the surreal, impossible-to-ignore rhythm behind him? What was that? Li Yu peeked back at himself and startled. He'd always been proud of his long, slender legs, but now they were gone. In their place, a silvery, glistening fishtail appeared, swishing vigorously through the water, from side to side, up and down. Well, that must be why he hadn't sunk. Li Yu was speechless. What was going on? How did his legs turn into a fishtail? Was he dreaming? Dreaming about turning into a mermaid? As girly as it sounds, a mermaid was the only possibility Li Yu could think of where a human had a fishtail. No, he wasn't talking about the ugly yet cute dongong from the animal world. It was erythral, half human, half fish mermaid with long, flowing hair and a beautiful complexion. And a heavenly voice. Oh, is this the one where he fell in love with a fish? You have to wait and find out, Ohilia. Welcome in. Everyone knew mermaids didn't exist in real life, so the only logical conclusion was that this was all a dream. And since it was a dream, he saw no problem with admiring his own beauty as a mermaid. Li Yu glanced around, searching for a window, or anything with a reflection that could show his appearance. As he moved, he kept swishing his tail back and forth vigorously. It was actually kind of nice to have a tail to wave around as he pleased. Unfortunately, this dream wasn't really going exactly as planned. There was no mirror in the water. Li Yu flipped over and from force of habit reached for his forehead to flick his bangs. Except this led to another problem. Li Yu quickly realized that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't reach his own forehead. What was wrong with his hand? Had his arm become shorter somehow? Li Yu looked down in confusion. That was when he realized his hands, with their distinct joints, had been replaced with a pair of constantly paddling fish fins that were, well, the exact shape and texture of a fish's fins. If his legs had turned into a tail, and his hands had turned into fins, then... Li Yu hurried to look at himself. Wait. When did his stomach turn flat and slim like you'd normally only see on a fish? Not only did he have a long, slender body, but he was also covered in silvery black fish scales. Holy shit! Li Yu took a deep breath and a few bubbles actually came floating out. There, reflected on the bubble's surface, he could see it clearly. His entire body had turned into a fish. Fish head, fish belly, fish scales. He was no mermaid, he was a proper carp. Fear slammed into Li Yu so hard he froze, momentarily forgetting to swish his tail. Immediately he began to sink. He was gonna drown. Just as he was about to crash into a black rock at the bottom, Li Yu used both his tail and his fins to paddle frantically, managing to stop himself before he collided with a rock. Unfortunately, his tail wasn't so lucky. Li Yu winced. That really hurt. The fish tail wasn't just some decoration. He'd only hit it once, but Li Yu was in so much pain he spat out a long trail of variously sized bubbles. What was up with that? That hurt more than cutting into his leg with a knife. How could the pain be so real in a dream? How is he not noticing he's seeing two different sides of the room? Fishes have eyes on either side of his head. Maybe his brain hasn't caught up with that. Li Yu's eyes widened slightly. No way! Was this not actually a dream? Had he turned into a fish? And not just any fish, but the most basic kind of carp? Where exactly was he? How did he transform? There's no way he was turning into a carp because his name was Li Yu, right? And most importantly, was there a way for him to change back? An entire herd of what the fuck stampeded through Li Yu's mind before he had the chance to fully grasp the situation on hand. He heard someone speak. Oh? Hello, Simple! Welcome to the nest! Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoy it here. Li Yu is fish-brained now. He is. He is fish-brained. Dimpledore. Sorry, I said your name wrong. Thank you for joining. A high, reedy voice rang out. Jo Lindsay, we're missing a live fish for the noble consort's 1,000 carp soup. Oh no, why did it zoom this far? No, I just wanted to look. Okay, carp is pronounced as Li Yu, the same as Li Yu's name. Oh goodness, yep, he had that coming. In ancient China, the emperor's consorts were ranked. Noble consort was the highest ranking after the empress. Will this take us back? Yes. Okay. Okay. That is a hack. I love that. Can you imagine Shin Kyunkyu turning into a fish? He would not survive. This protagonist's way to chill. I would be flapping around. Oh, he's way too chill. Yeah, I would be like freaking out. Hi, Dimpledore. Welcome in. Yeah, so she wants a 1,000 carp soup, and they're missing a fish. And our boy is now a fish. This is not this is not looking good. Another voice immediately responded. Yao Gong Gong. Uh, that is a polite way to address eunuchs, so he is a eunuch. This fish flipped over just now. The birthday banquet is an important matter, and the servant doesn't dare present it to the noble consort, so I was about to throw it away. Should I go get another? Li Yu was alarmed. He'd been secretly celebrating the discovery that there were other people around him, but what was with all the noble consort and Gong Gong stuff? Did he transmigrate into a historical palace fish? The word eunuch hurts my manhood. Yes. It's a snip snip. And what the hell was the 1,000 carp soup? Before he could figure it out, a light shone right into the water above Li Yu's head, splitting the dark in two. From that beam of light, a terrifyingly sized hand reached in. Li Yu almost passed out on the spot. This hand was way too big. But after some careful consideration, he realized. Of course it was. He was an ordinary little fish now. Obviously, a human hand would be colossal to a fish. Every instinct inside Li Yu screamed that he was in danger. He couldn't help swimming all over the place. Without a moment's hesitation, the hand reached into the water, fingers outstretched, and clamped around Li Yu, who was bumbling around like a headless fly. Now that he was a fish, Li Yu had no neck, so the hand covered most of his body. Li Yu yelped and struggled fiercely, his tail flapping violently. It was even more painful than hitting his tail just now. How could you grab a fish's chest and stomach? It hurts! But the person couldn't hear the fish's cry and just chuckled. This fish is certainly lively. What do you mean it flipped over? Gio Lindsay, you didn't say that just so you could take this fish for yourself, did you? Kitty! There's a second kitty up here. Oh no, and the first kitty ran away. Oh no. Ah! No! They flipped my tea over. No! And they both ran away. Oh my god. Okay, hang on a second. Kitties! Oh my goodness. Okay, Tiger popped up, scared Draco. Draco ran away, knocking the tea half over, and Tiger's just like, okay, and walked away. Oh my god. Okay. Luckily he's a big, beautiful fish and didn't wake up in the kitchen. Yeah, he did wake up in the kitchen. Your model's really well made. What are your pronouns? Oh, thank you. This is Sparrow. He, him. Beepity beepity. I love the hair flow. Look at that. Oh, I'm in love with his hair. Whee! All right. Yep. Quick introduction for people who might not know. I am Fail Sparrow. I am a bird boy. Go by he, him, and I play games that are focused on either you can choose your own, like, pronouns and everything, or it's gender neutral, or we do play BL games, and yandere themed, and I read Danmei occasionally. Does this book contain male concubines? Yes. I've read 2 of the books. I have all 4 of the books. I kept getting distracted, but I have all 4 of the books. There are male concubines. Because I do know at one point one is gifted to somebody and they talk about it like that. But, it's not like the primary focus. You have physical copies? Oh yeah, I have all 4 of them. I ordered them as soon as they came out. I have all the special edition too. The special edition came with like posters and bookmarks and everything, and it was so cool. I love it. I've been meaning to read the 4th volume, but like I keep getting distracted. All right. Kitty shenanigans, yes. Yes, they are really shenanigan right now. They haven't settled down for their naps yet, so they're everywhere. Oh my god, so I didn't know, I've only been here 2 years. I've only been here 2 years? Oh, over on, only been here, what? Really? You've only been here 2 years? Kitties! Alright, where were we? With all the ruckus around him... Wait, did I skip a page? Oh, no. We just went to the next page before the cats caused havoc. With all the ruckus around him, Li Yu's world was spinning, but he managed to catch a glimpse of the place he had been in before. A fish basket. Ensnared in the person's hand, he was lifted to meet their gaze. Li Yu's fish eyes took in the 2 people dressed like palace servants from ancient times. The one holding him was Gao Gongong. He wasn't very tall, and he looked like a round white dough ball. Next to him, Zhao Linzi looked a little like a flax stem. Zhao Linzi hurried up to kiss up to Gao Gongong. He smiled and said, Gao Gongong, this servant would never dare take advantage of you. Advantage with you overseeing everything. My eyes must have simply been playing tricks on me before. It's simply a misunderstanding. Since this fish is alive, the servant will go and prepare the fish soup immediately. It's sarcasm. Oh, okay, Ohelia. I do not understand sarcasm. My brain cannot understand it, okay? Li Yu, who was being held by Gao Gongong, immediately became agitated. What? Fish soup? 1,000 carp soup might have been a complete mystery to him just a moment ago, but the concept of fish soup was definitely something he understood deep within his bones. He was a fish right now, and they were about to turn him into soup. Squeezing me is one thing, but turning me into soup is where I draw the line. Originally, Gao Gongong had only visited the imperial kitchen to scold Zhao Linzi a little. Now that he was done, he was planning on leaving the fish for Zhao Linzi to deal with. Li Yu had lain quiet and still in Gao Gongong's grip for some time, but now that the soup was on the menu, he mustered all his strength to struggle free. The fish was slippery. In the split second that Gao Gongong loosened his grip, Li Yu managed to get free and fling himself into the air. Li Yu, still thrashing around as he flew through the air, leaving a long trail of water behind him, was terrified. What should he do? He was gonna die! What, was he still going to be made into soup if he died? I mean, probably. Sob. He still hadn't figured out how exactly he had transmigrated into a fish in the first place. He didn't want to die. What if it stuck this time? Li Yu soared towards Zhao Linzi, completely out of control. Zhao Linzi reached out to grab him, but the fish was too slippery, and he couldn't get a firm hold of him. Li Yu was seconds away from splattering onto the floor when a long meow came from outside, and a streak of snowy white fur bounded in. Just before Li Yu's tail hit the ground, the white figure caught him firmly in his mouth. Li Yu didn't even have time to celebrate his close call before his scales were standing straight up all over his body. Holy crap! This shape, this sound, was this a fucking large white cat? He managed to escape from the hand of a human, only to land directly in the mouth of a cat? This is a weird book. Is Is it old? Actually, it's not that old. It's set in old times, but it's actually not that old of a book, I don't think. This shit sounds like it was written by the ancients. Hello, Peridot. Welcome in. We are reading Disabled Tyrant's Beloved Pet Fish, and we are following poor little Li Yu, who just transmigrated into the body of a carp in a kitchen, about to be turned into soup, and he managed to slip his way out of the servant's hands just to be caught by a cat. So he's in the mouth of a cat at a moment. Why does it feel like someone put an assassination on this fish? Why is there like 3 men dealing with one fish? Well, right now it's 2 men and a cat. How was he supposed to survive a cat's mouth? Li Yu had never been afraid of cats before, but now that he was a fish, he was scared to death. Cats' tongues were covered in spikes. If it licked him, would it take a chunk of him with it? He was completely paralyzed by fear. This cat was going to eat him. He'd be just a pile of fish bones. Being turned into soup wasn't sounding so bad anymore. The large white cat that had appeared out of nowhere ignored Gong Gong and Zhao Linzi and sprinted out with the fish in its mouth. It all happened way too fast. It took Zhao Linzi a moment to react. Gao Gong Gong, the cat has taken the fish! The sturdy white cat looked a little familiar. With a start, Gao Gong Gong realized who it was and kicked Zhao Linzi. What are you dawdling for? Can't you see that's the noble consort's cat? Zhao Linzi, hurry up and follow it. Don't let the precious master cat choke on a fish bone. Otherwise, the noble consort will never forgive us. After all, the cat of our master is also half a master. Yes, sir. There's a tinge of bitterness in Zhao Linzi's voice. You couldn't afford to offend even a cat master these days. Lin Yu was clamped between the white cat's jaws, and Zhao Linzi chased after them. Originally, he had hoped Gao Gong Gong and Zhao Linzi would pull him out of the cat's mouth, since he was, after all, an ingredient for the fish soup. That made him more or less useful. But hearing what they were saying now, that it turned out they didn't care about the fish at all and had no plans to save him, they were more concerned the cat might choke on his bones? How fickle! These guys sure knew how to wait and see which way the wind blew. As infuriated as Li Yu was, there was nothing he could do about his situation. All he could do was use every ounce of energy he had to try and slip out of the cat's mouth. But the white cat was not the ambitious yet incompetent Gao Gong Gong, nor did it have the habit of eating and running at the same time. It held Li Yu delicately in its sharp teeth. Li Yu wiggled around, but its jaws didn't even loosen. On the contrary, they tightened around him. Li Yu didn't dare move anymore. He lay quietly in the cat's mouth, the tip of his tail quivering uncontrollably. This was way too scary. Li Yu couldn't help screaming, "Help! Somebody save me!" What does he do to the fish? Disabled Tyrant's Beloved Pet Fish. What does he do to the fish? My dear, you need to just wait and find out. This is a great PETA advert. I want to go vegan now. Yeah, the poor little fish. Just think about the poor little fish, terrified for its life. And you're just like, I'm not eating fish again. This book would have been over if I worked in that kitchen. I'm not being beaten by a fish. You're getting chopped. Oh my god. Oh hell yeah. Oh hell yeah. What happened to PETA moment? It didn't matter who. Whoever it was, he'd do anything they wanted in the next life as long as they freed him from this cat's mouth. But no human heard the fish, and neither did the cat. The large white cat trotted on, unencumbered. Countless people saw it pass, but on a single one of... Oh my god, the volume went all the way down. I'm sorry if you guys can't hear me. I didn't realize that. It didn't matter who. Whoever it was, he'd do anything they wanted in his next life as long as they freed him from this cat's mouth. But no human heard the fish, and neither did the cat. The large white cat trotted on, unencumbered. Countless people saw it pass, but not a single one of them stopped it. It was exactly like Gao Gong had said. The cat of our master is also half a master. While Li Yu's screams were going unheard, the white cat dug its claws into the floor tiles, skidding to an abrupt stop. Li Yu flinched as he felt the cat's teeth tighten around him. The white cat's shining eyes glared at whatever was in front of it, a warning growl rumbling from its throat as if it was facing a formidable enemy. Detecting the shift in the white cat's attitude, Li Yu quickly looked to see why. A young man with a tall, upright figure, draped in resplendent, luxurious robes, appeared in his field of vision. Like a god descending upon the earth, he blocked the great white cat's path. Dun dun dun! Dun dun dun! I'm imagining that one scene from Attack on Titan on their first mission when the blonde dude was hanging from the Titan's mouth. Yeah. It's exactly that. Look at the art. There's our poor little boy. Look at him freaking out. He's having issues. He's not happy. Li Yu, your disabled Prince Charming is here. Yes, he is. Look at that grumpy boy. He looks so grumpy in this angle. Oh, goodness. Our poor little fish. I can't get over, like, the fish's expression. Oh, my God. Okay. Chapter 2. The Fish in the Cat's Mouth. Li Yu was delighted. So there was someone who didn't kiss up to Master Cat. If a cat's intellect could be compared to that of a 2-year-old, then this large white cat was a spoiled child. No one had ever denied it anything. It had always gotten anything and everything it wanted. How dare this person presume to stand in the cat's way when it had a fish in its mouth? The white cat spun on the spot a couple of times, deciding it would demonstrate just who the real master was here. With the fish held firmly in its jaws, it pounced on the young man's shins. Thwack! The white cat pounced so hard that, even trapped inside its mouth, Lin Yu could feel its muscles tense up. But its target didn't even flinch. Yowling, the cat bounced off the young man's firm legs. Li Yu felt its jaws loosen around him, and with a rush of elation, and rolled out of its mouth and onto the floor. Luckily, Master Cat wasn't very far from the ground, so the impact wasn't too harsh. The white cat froze, letting out a meow. It readied itself to recapture its prey. Li Yu had only just managed to escape the cat's mouth. How could he let it snatch him up again? Desperate, he flapped his tail wildly and leaped into the air, only to leap so far that his tail slapped the cat right in the mouth with a resounding smack. Li Yu was speechless. So was the white cat. No way. All he wanted was to escape. How did he manage to accidentally slap the cat instead? If fish could sweat, Li Yu have been sweating bullets. As a fish that dared to slap a cat in the face, wasn't he asking to be eaten immediately? With its fur standing on end from the sudden slap, the white cat raised one heavy paw and pressed it down on Li Yu's body. To the little fish, the cat's sharp claws might as well have been made of steel. Li Yu continued to struggle. Ow! Don't press on my head, it hurts! It hurts! It hurts! The cat got smacked. Yes. This takes Would You Love Me If I Was a Worm to the next level, and I love it. Not the cat having more respect than I do. I know, right? Lol, would you love me if I was a fish? Yes. as a fish that dared make such a scene in front of a cat. It was a wonder he hadn't been swallowed already. Was his illustrious life really about to come to an end in a cat's mouth? Under the cat's paw, Liyu's body hurt all over. He went limp from the pain, but unwilling to accept his fate, the tip of his tail still trembled. It was then that he saw a pair of pitch-black, cloud-patterned boots slowly approaching. When the white cat caught him in the second time, the youth in the luxurious robes noticed the commotion too. Liyu wasn't sure if he was imagining things now that his death was imminent, but he thought the young man had glanced over in his direction, just briefly. But how was that possible? Neither Gao Gongong nor Zhao Linzi denied to spare him an extra glance. Just the briefest look at his opulent robes were enough for Li Yu to see that this youth was someone of status. Was it really possible someone like that would notice a little fish like him? Li Yu's reserves of energy was almost depleted, and he could hardly lift his tail anymore. He lay there quietly, channeling the last of his strength into just taking breath after difficult breath. Fish couldn't stay out of water for too long, nor could they bear being bitten or clawed at by a cat. Poor Li Yu had managed to check both boxes. With the swish of his robes, the youth crouched down. Li Yu watched his handsome face grow larger and larger as it drew closer and closer. This face was handsome in the extreme, but as cold and beautiful as icy frost. The hair at his temples was so neatly arranged that it could have been cut by a knife, and he had eyes like cold stars, skin as pale as jade, red lips and snowy white teeth. If Song Yu or Pan A was still alive, he probably would have given them a run for their money. Let's see. Two of the most handsome men of ancient China. So he's saying he is really handsome. Tyrant Prince, please save your future fishwife. Yes, agreed. Save him. He's having a very bad time. Lin Yu's vocabulary was quite limited when it came to compliments, so his brain very quickly ran out of words. Back when he was still human, he had been very confident in his own appearance, and thought he was rather good-looking. Did the heavens know he was close to death, and deliberately arrange for him to meet a more beautiful ethereal man just so he could die with jealousy in his heart? Whether you were a fish or a person, being close to death really brought out your honesty. Okay, fine, it was true. He was a little jealous. Experiencing the phenomenon known as terminal lucidity, Liyu's brain started to spiral into nonsense. Next to his ear, the large white cat meowed extremely unhappily, and all of a sudden the pressure on his body disappeared, and the sharp claws that held him down so tightly were gone. Li Yu couldn't believe his luck. He tried moving his fish body. The pain was still intense, but he really could move. What happened? Why would the white cat let go of him for no reason? Li Yu looked up slightly and saw the cat rising up into the air. The youth in the opulent robes had picked it up roughly by the scruff of its neck. Yay! Though this was a rather burly cat, it was obviously an expensive breed, with its pure white snow, fur, and eyes like clear blue sapphires. Most people would at least pity this soft white fluff ball and treat it tenderly, even if they didn't care for the noble consort. But this youth's expression was indifferent, with absolutely no regard for the cat at all. Li Yu didn't understand what was happening, but what was most important here was that there was a silver of hope for his life as a fish. Thank the heavens, and thank this beautiful man. Having been dragged away from both the fish and the floor by force, the cat let out a furious, shrill yowl its claws slashing wildly in the air. Perhaps this would have been enough to intimidate anyone else. But the tall young man was unimpressed. Zhao Linzi, who had been belatedly rushing to the scene, immediately fell to his knees upon witnessing all this. Li Yu couldn't help feeling shocked through his haze of pain. What was Zhao Linzi doing? There was no way he was kneeling because he wanted to save an ingredient, right? Reality soon proved him wrong. Zhao Linzi was kneeling before the finely dressed youth. Kowtowing, he stumbled over his words. Prince Jing, this is noble consort's precious master cat. Please have mercy. Lin Yu was stunned. This youth was a prince? Prince Jing? Hearing noble consort, or gong gong, had been one thing, but why did Prince Jing sound so familiar? But the thought only crossed his mind for a second. Li Yu had more important things to worry about. His fish life was still in danger. The extravagantly dressed youth, Prince Jing, scoffed. His dark eyes swept across Zhao Linzi, but he made no move to release the cat. The white cat had been yowling vigorously, but it seemed to have exhausted itself, its cries getting quieter and quieter. Prince Jing, excluding a commanding air, ignored it. Zhao Linzi remained kneeling on the ground, more and more sweat collecting on his forehead. Lin Yu was still lying on the ground. He was extremely grateful that the Prince Jing saved him from the large white feline bully, but could someone pay attention to him and put him back in the water? He was about to turn into a dead fish. What to do? Li Yu weirdly curled his tail, but no one could hear his thoughts. Your Highness! Your Highness! Wait for this old Wait, this is Wang Zi. Your Highness! Your Highness! Wait for this old servant, I'm coming. Another unfamiliar figure came running into the distance, hollering and yelling. It was an older eunuch. He came to a stop between Prince Jin and Zhao Linzi, then took a huge gulp of air. This was Prince Jing's personal servant, Wang Zi. Wang Xinggong, you're here! Zhao Linzi's eyes brightened, thinking his savior had arrived. He hurried to bow as he said, Please help me ask Prince Jing for forgiveness. Forgiveness? Wang Zi had finally caught his breath. He glanced carefully at Prince Jing's expression before shooting a fiery glaze at Zhao Linzi. This cat was the one that jumped at His Highness. Are you saying His Highness can't punish it? Zhao Linzi felt the world spin. He whimpered, That's the noble consort's prize cat, master cat. Wang Zi had already recognized the white cat, but as soon as Zhao Linzi brought it up, his rage shot through the roof. It's just a cat. How dare it try to act like a master in front of His Highness, he spat. Wang Gong. Zhao Linzi had a sinking feeling that he had misspoken, and hurriedly slapped a hand over his mouth. While the noble consort's cat was essentially half a master, compared to the servants like him, it was nothing in front of descendants of the dragon. Indignant with fury, Wang Zi spat on Xian Linzi and cursed him out. Lian Zi trembled all over, head lowered, and was even more afraid to speak than before. After he was done with his tirade, Wang Zi turned back to look at Prince Jing. The prince's icy eyes moved slightly, and Wang Zi immediately understood. Holding his hand up daintily, he turned around and loudly yelled, This cat has offended His Highness, and His Highness is disciplining it a little. Why are you getting so worked up? Damn, is this cat a celebrity? Everyone's treating it better than the disabled human. Yeah, really. Really, they're more worried about what the noble consort will think if something happened to her cat than, like, the prince. Alright. Taking a tea break. Okay. Mr. Dre, my Draco kitty, has settled down on the bed. He's all curled up, looking all innocent. My cats are still acting better than this cat. Since the cat in Prince Jing's hand had failed in its attempt to intimidate him, its temper had more or less subsided. It seemed to realize it had hit a brick wall and settled on sticking out its pink tongue and mewling pitifully. Most people's hearts would have softened at this point, but Prince Jing was not most people. He waited until the white cat stopped meowing and demurely lowered its head, and then casually tossed it to Zhao Linzi. Cats didn't fear heights. It soared from Prince Jing's hands and eagerly threw itself straight into Zhao Linzi's arms. Zhao Linzi barely had any meat on his bones and nearly coughed up blood when the cat collided with his chest. Take a break in 15 minutes and get tea. All this reading requires tea. I have tea. I still have a full thing of tea. Thank you so much for requesting that. We'll see where we are. Whenever I feel like I need a break, I'll let you guys know. But I have water. I have tea. I'm hydrating. Thank you so much for the reminder. I just love this story. It's so good. So, is our boy out of the cat's mouth and just flopping on the floor? He is on the floor, and the cat, he flopped away, and the cat had grabbed him and held him down with his claws, and then the prince picked him up. So, yeah, he's just laying on the floor now, slowly dying from lack of water. Wang Zi coughed lightly. His Highness is evidently in a good mood today, as he only reprimanded it a little. You better keep an eye on it, though. Should there be a next time? I've lived to this age, and I've never seen anyone dare to anger His Highness twice. The servant understands, Zhao Linzi kowtowed several times in a row. Prince Jing waved a hand carelessly. Wang Zi spat at Zhao Linzi again and followed behind the prince. Wait, they were going to leave? Just like that? Li Yu had waited so eagerly, for so long, but this Prince Jing, who had saved him, and even spared him an extra glance, didn't seem to have any intention of helping him further. Escaping from the jaws of the cat had already taken everything Li Yu had. Since no one could understand him, all he could do was muster up the last of his strength to curl his tail. His fish tail struck the floor lightly. Once, twice. His plea for help was so weak and pitiful. It was practically inaudible. It was enough to make anyone lose hope. But each time Li Yu wanted to give up, he pushed himself to keep going. Perhaps if he persevered, there would be a miracle. And there wasn't. He kept swishing his tail until he couldn't lift it anymore. The boots that had once saved him didn't stop for him again. Li Yu gradually lost consciousness, his tail falling still. The air settled around him. Prince Jing was already several meters away when he suddenly paused and turned around. A hint of confusion flashed across his cold eyes. Your Highness, what's wrong? Wang Zi also looked around, perplexed. Zhao Linzi had already run off with the white cat. There was no one else here. Brow furrowed, Prince Jing made a shushing motion and walked back. Wang Zi followed a few steps behind. The prince's attention was focused on the ground below his feet. He seemed to be looking for something. He soon arrived back at the spot where he had stopped before. Suddenly, he paused and crouched down. Your Highness, please don't trouble yourself. What do you need? Let the servant do it instead. Wang Zi clamored to stop Prince Jing, but the prince took no notice. He stubbornly pulled Wang Zi aside and picked something up from the ground with his own hands. A palm-sized fish, to be exact. A fish that had been clamped between the jaws of a cat and was now covered with wounds. Your Highness, this... Wang Zi trailed off uncertainly. Isn't this a very ordinary carp? Why did your Highness come back for this fish? This was the first time he'd ever been unsure he could understand his Highness. Prince Jing hesitated for a moment. He reached out and touched the limp fish tail with his finger. The tail flopped against the floor lightly, weakly. Prince Jing's expression darkened, but the way he held the fish was exceedingly gentle. Your Highness! Your Highness, please let me! Wang Zi spread his arms. Prince Jing shook his head, holding the fish himself, and headed straight for the nearest garden. A dazed and uncomfortable Li Yu felt a long-awaited warmth. He could have sworn it was blankets and a pillow. Sob, sob, sob. Life as a fish was much too hard, but if he was going to die and turn back into a human, perhaps all the suffering would be worth it. Li Yu was already celebrating on the inside when he heard the sound of the system. Congratulations, user! The first part of the Mo Pet System main quest, the Tyrant's priceless pet fish. First meeting with the Tyrant has been completed. He was like, I'm gonna die and turn back into a human. Boy, you thought. Thank you, Prince Jing, for saving our boy, Li Yu. Yes. Oh my gosh, wasn't that so sad? He was just weakly flapping his tail and like falling still. That was so sad. I'm so glad the prince turned around and was like, hang on, there's a poor little fish carp here. I might help him. Have you watched The Little Mermaid? Do you know that scene when Sebastian is fighting the chef in the kitchen? Okay, that's about accurate too. How dare you call him ordinary? Have you seen the cover? He's gorgeous. Like, I love the cover. I think the cover is really pretty. Here, let's go back and look. I think the cover is really pretty. But as I was reading it, I was raging at the cover. Because everything is perfect except for the fish. Because, right now, Liu is a little black carp. He doesn't start looking different until way later. So he should have been a black carp on the cover. So that's the only beef I have with this cover. He is a tiny, palm-sized black carp right now. So, our boy, let's see, we were on, not that far. Actually, why don't we do this? There we go. Not the system! Shenquin Q is typing. Yes, that makes it even more fun. There's a system. There's a system about to screw this boy over. Chapter 3. Priceless Pet Fish. For a moment, Liu thought he was imagining things, but some time had passed and he didn't seem like he was turning back into a human. Not only did he not change, some random system had popped it up. It seemed to be called Mo Pet System? No sooner than he thought that, 2 rows of large golden words appeared before his eyes. The system that had spoken up moments ago chimed in again, without his prompting. User, please select main quest or side quest. Liu blinked. It seemed he had accidentally entered a system. The system called him user, so this was his personal golden finger. A cheat code for his transmigration. At least this meant his transformation into a fish hadn't been for nothing. Although he was still a fish and hadn't transformed back into a human, as long as he had this golden finger, perhaps he could find a way to get back to normal if he followed the system's instructions. The previous prompt had said he had completed the first step of the main quest. Out of habit, Liu tried to tap the words main quest as you would on a touchscreen, but what was a routine action for a human was quite a challenge for a fish. His fins were too short to reach. He flapped his fins rather desperately, thinking, if only he could tap it. When suddenly the main quest flashed on its own accord, expanding into several lines of text. Got it. I don't need to touch anything with the system. I can control it with my thoughts. All the text under the main quest was dark, except for the very top line, which was lit up. Each line probably corresponded to a different main quest. With the desperate desire to turn back into a human thrumming through his veins, Liu skimmed through each main quest. They were all about fish. There was nothing about humans. But what's stopping him from dying? The reason Shin Kyung-kyu didn't want to die is because he was dead in real life, but he would just go back home. Oh, you're saying Lin Yu would go back home? Well, maybe he has similar circumstances. Let's find out. Other than Tyrant's priceless pet fish, which he had seen already, there was also Tyrant's pet fish for revitalizing the family, postpartum care for fish, etc. It got more and more ridiculous as he read on, but the only one he could access was the topmost one, which glowed Tyrant's priceless pet fish. Liu had no other choice but to tap on it, a bit reluctantly. The progress bar in the description for Tyrant's priceless pet fish immediately popped up. First, he looked through the description. It was super simple. All he needed to do was become the Tyrant's beloved pet fish. Although it was a little clickbaity, it at least matched the name of the system, Mo Pet System. Wait, wasn't he forgetting something? This Tyrant kept coming up, but he still had no idea what that was supposed to be. The system seemed to sense his confusion, and a transparent window popped up, surrounded by swirling rose petals. The window displayed Prince Jing's frustratingly handsome face. The Tyrant was Prince Jing. Lin Yu cracked a smile. So he completed first meeting with the Tyrant when he encountered Prince Jing. Sure, this Prince Jing looked pretty cold and didn't speak much, but why did the system have to call him a tyrant? The system had no response this time. Prince Jing's handsome face remained unchanged in the pop-up. Did this mean he had to continue tapping? After some pondering, he poked Prince Jing's face with his tail. The system popped up with another prompt. The fluttering rose petals automatically reconfigured into a blurb about Prince Jing. He was the 5th son of the Emperor of the Great Chu, Mo Tianchi, and was born with a speech impediment. He couldn't talk. Prince Jing was Mute Chi? Liu felt like he had been struck by lightning. No wonder Prince Jing's name seemed so familiar. No wonder Prince Jing was way too quiet compared to Wang Zi or Jian Linzi. Liu had been so preoccupied with running for his life that he didn't realize it at the time, but now he finally knew which book he had fallen into. So he is transmigrated into a book. By the way, right now I'm almost done editing the visual novel. You made me realize there are a few typos in the screen and in the game, so don't play it till next week. Okay. Alright, thank you. Let me know when it's all done. What about him makes him disabled? Seems to be walking around fine. He's mute. He can't talk. He knew the name Mu Tianchi very well indeed. He was the male lead from the web novel Liu had stayed up all night to read when he was bored. The Tyrant and his delicate concubine. Mute Tianqi was a cold, ruthless tyrant who wouldn't hesitate to slaughter someone's entire family if he was displeased. But because he was mute, he still inspired a little pity. Li Yu had transmigrated into a novel with a system. Congratulations on Li Yu realizing he transmigrated into a novel. Yes. Great, and our main character is a fish who can't talk, but has a lot of things to say. He does. Li Yu has so much to say. Never mind that this was a book about a tyrant. Why did he transmigrate into a fish? Let's not worry about tyrants for now. Why did he get paired up with the Mo pet system? And why was all his quest about fish? The system cut in with a voice message. Speaking slowly. You've already transmigrated, so you might as well accept your fate. The purpose of your existence is to help improve the tyrannical male lead's personality. Apparently, having a pet can help cultivate one's tender, caring side. Li Yu was dumbfounded. He knew the system had alternative motives. He didn't want to do these weird tasks at all. Was the system going to force him to do them even if he didn't want to? The system answered back immediately. The Mo Pet system will not force its user, but if the user does not complete the quest, then you will never turn back into a human. What? I can't go back even if I die? You can't. The system's voice held a note of finality. Failing to regain human form means retaining the lifespan of a fish. In the end, a fish will turn into fish bones and fish ash. So, there is no way out. Either he can fail and remain as a fish and live as long as a fish's normal lifespan is and die as a fish, or he can work the system and try to turn back into a human. This isn't technically BL until he turns back into a human. Oh, wanna bet? It only took you 1 hour to realize you were in novel. It took Shinkyunkyu 3 seconds. Fish reforms Tyrant Prince, not clickbait. Oh, hey, kitty. Okay, he went and got him a num-num, and then he is back in bed. He's making biscuits right now. Yes, it's not clickbait. He's got to reform the prince. What if I choose not to do these quests at all? Asked Li Yu. You will turn into fish bones and ash immediately. Li Yu wanted to curse. Wasn't this the definition of forcing him? The system piped up again to emphasize. The Mo Pet system will not force its user. Can you please not repeat yourself? Li Yu didn't want to turn into fish bones or fish ash, but he had no interest in turning the tyrant's personality around either. All he wanted to know was how he could become human again. The system spoke. Once the main quest has progressed to a certain point, one of the steps will involve you becoming human again. That's more like it. Okay, it's just the main quest. Fine, I'll do it. He was acting nonchalant, but Li Yu was hyper aware that he could not risk playing around with his own life. The Mo Pet system had one thing right. He had already transmigrated. He'd already seen for himself that the system was his golden finger and could appear in his consciousness, so he had to believe it. Now that he'd resolved to do the quest, Li Yu started to calm down. He took a good look at his current quest. Priceless pet fish. There's a number of steps to this quest. The first step, first meeting with the tyrant, was already completed. The second step, interacting with the Tyrant, was glowing. There was nothing else beyond that. It looked like he'd have to complete step 2 before he unlocked any more instructions for the next step. What a stingy system. It couldn't even be bothered to give him a more detailed prompt? Interact with the Tyrant? Interact how? Li Yu was a little frustrated. What connection did the two of them even have? Prince Jing was a prince. Li Yu was merely a fish from the imperial kitchen. Did he have to turn himself into fish soup or braised fish so that Prince Jing could eat him? The system chimed in. Use your brain. Think harder. What the fuck, system? Why did it feel like it was taunting him? The system just like, use your brain. Think about it. I'm not helping you. Li Yu couldn't figure anything out from the main quest. Then an idea came to mind. He went to check on the side quest. Side quests were optional, and anyone who'd ever played a game knew that side quests usually weren't too hard and could come with generous rewards. The main quest was way too weird, but maybe Lin Yu could pull some clues from the side quest. His investigation proved to be fruitless, however, when he found the side quests were all grayed out, meaning it wasn't time for them yet. For example, one of the side quests were, turn into a koi. That one looked quite nice. If he had to be a fish for the time being, a koi fish would at least be better than the kind of carp that was a regular feature on the menu, right? Even an idiot knew koi fish were lucky. Why wasn't this task available? Side quests have prerequisite, the system informed him. You can only accept the quest once the prerequisite has been met. What prerequisite does the koi quest have? The system replied. Complete the main quest. Priceless pet fish. Fuck, I can't skip being a pet fish. No, you can't. No, you can't. I fell in love with my fish and he turned into a man and taught me how to cook instant ramen, not clickbait. This system is way more direct than the one in Scum Villain. That system would just take away points every time he flopped away. He would. The most beautiful love story. Non-talkative fish and his mute pirate prince boyfriend lover. Yes. Love can go past words. Love can transcend speech. That's right. Li Yu was clearly a man, but now he had to be another man's pet fish. And not just any man, a man with a bad temper who couldn't talk. Wasn't this way too hard? Did completing this quest even come with rewards? If the rewards weren't all that great, what was even the point? Li Yu asked. What kind of rewards do I get for completing Priceless Pet Fish? There will be rewards, right? Yes, the system said. You've already completed the first step, so the strength of your fishtail has increased. Please use it carefully. The reward for completing the second step is an inventory that you can take around with you. The rest of the rewards will be revealed as you continue to unlock new tasks. Li Yu's eyes lit up. He didn't know how useful a stronger tail would be, but an inventory would be great. He could put stuff in it. Being a fish was so inconvenient. He needed to get over his embarrassment fast so he could complete the task. While he was wrapped up in his thoughts, the system alerted him he was about to exit. Lin Yu woke up. As he opened his fish eyes, he came to the realization he was lying in a blue and white porcelain tank filled with water. So his conversation with the system had all happened inside his own head. There was no way to tell what had been going on from the outside. Back in reality, he had passed out from everything he'd gone through at the claws of the white cat, and from being out of the water for too long. He'd already been unconscious for 2 hours. Pain crashed down on his body in waves. He had yet to fully recover from his cat-induced injuries. A little dazed, Li Yu looked around at his surroundings. Before he lost consciousness, he remembered thumping his tail on the ground until it nearly broke. Yet no one had come to his rescue. Shouldn't he still be lying on the floor tiles right now? How could this change of scenery happen? It didn't matter. He was injured, and he needed to rest, recover, and figure out where he was. He also had to find Prince Jing as soon as possible, so he could complete this task. With that figured out, Li Yu set about carefully examining the world inside the tank. Does anyone know that guy that has like 50 goldfish? His name is Luke Scoldy. What? No. This blue and white porcelain tank was a massive upgrade from the dark fish basket he found himself in when he first transmigrated. It didn't have the oily, smoky smell of the imperial kitchen, and was bright and well ventilated, though the top of the tank was a bit on the tall side. When he looked up, he could only see a portion of the ceiling. Though the opening was small, he could see that he was in a room with carved beams and painted rafters. This was clearly a place of wealth. The water in the tank was very clear. Aside from a few aquatic plants swaying gently in the ripples, he was the tank's only occupant. Snow-white stones lay beneath him. Li Yu observed the stones for a while. Each one was round, with any harsh edges smoothed away. When he lay on them, it felt rather comfortable. It made for a good place to heal from his injuries. Li Yu wanted to rip off a piece of the plant, but after several minutes of struggle, he knew he could forget about using his fins as hands to tear it off. He could barely even use them to grab a hold of the plant. No matter how hard he tried, he just couldn't get it to work. He remembered what the system had said. It had boosted his tail's power. Perhaps he could try that? Li Yu swished his tail at the plant, not hoping for much. Ow, 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 ow. That simple action tore at his injury. Li Yu grimaced in pain, regretting his impulsiveness slightly. His tail didn't seem to have made any difference, but just as Li Yu was thinking the system had a habit of lying to fish, a glossy green leaf drifted down gently and landed on top of his head. Li Yu glanced at his tail excitedly. He pulled the leaf down with his mouth and used it to cover up most of his body. Then he lay back down on the bed of white rocks. After all, the best way to heal from an injury was by lying down with a blanket. He'd rest some and recover his injury. Once he felt a little better, he'd look for Prince Jing. So this fish straight up is laying down on the rocks and covered himself up with a little leaf blankie. That is normal. This is 100% normal fish behavior. What are you talking about? He is doing a wonderful job of blending in. Can you imagine a fish flipping around screaming like a man? No, I don't want to imagine that. That would be terrifying. Aw, Li Yu is sleeping. Yes, he is. So cute. He slept for a while before he was woken by a soft creaking sound. It was the sound of a door opening, he realized. Someone had entered the room he was in. It must be the person who saved him and put him in this tank. This tank contained water, plants, and even smooth stones. There was no way it wasn't supposed to be a fish tank. If someone had gone to the trouble of arranging all this, it meant they wanted to keep him, not eat him. Who could this person be? The footsteps came closer, unhurried. With an unexpected feeling of anticipation, Li Yu raised his head a little and waited. Before long, a matchlessly handsome face appeared above the tank. Oh my God! Wasn't that the target of his quest? Prince Jing? Mute Prince? Did that mean Prince Jing was the one who saved him? Li Yu was both surprised and delighted. This was too easy. To be honest, he still rejected the thought of being someone's pet fish. But now that he knew his savior was the target of his quest, he could suck it up. So what exactly should a good pet fish do? Please his owner and make him happy, of course. Li Yu tossed his leaf-covered head about and eagerly blew a little bubble towards Prince Jing. I'm such a cute fish. Please don't cut my head off. Yay, he's now trying to be cute. He's like, I am the best fishy ever. You love me. Chapter 4. Fish-flavored shredded pork. Li Yu was keen to win Prince Jing over, and for good reason. Having read the original book, Li Yu knew that despite Mute Tianqi's tyrannical character archetype, he didn't start off as an oppressive dictator who killed people without batting an eye. When Mute Tianqi was still just Prince Jing, he was at most a little cold and indifferent. His muteness meant he has long since lost the right to the throne. But at the end, it was he, the most unlikely heir, who had climbed, step by step, up to the throne. With a cold, ruthless decisiveness, he had bathed both his court and back palace with blood, completing his transformation from a silent, cold prince to a cruel tyrant whom the world feared. Li Yu's newest mission: attract Prince Jing using his fish body. Yes. I'm the cutest fish ever. You love me. I mean, he's got to work with what he's got. This change didn't happen overnight. Mo Tianqi underwent a huge emotional journey before he reached his full tyrannical potential. But it would be impossible to explain the trials and tribulations he experienced in just a few sentences. In any case, since Mute Tianqi was still a prince right now, that meant his personality hadn't changed yet. In other words, this tyrant hadn't reached the point where he'd chop off someone's head as soon as he looked at them. That much was clear from the fact that Mute Tianqi had not called for the white cat's execution when he first caught it. Prince Jing may have punished the white cat for running into him, giving off a cold and heartless impression all the while, but he did let the cat go afterwards. Not a single drop of cat blood was spilled. If this had happened after his ascension to the throne, that cat wouldn't have stood a chance. But right now, Prince Jing's mindset was simple: an eye for an eye, not an eye for your whole family. Plus, Prince Jing had saved a fish like Li Yu. Wasn't that an example in and of itself? So, it wasn't hard to understand why the system wanted to complete these tasks and improve the tyrant's personality. Better to start now while Mute Tianqi was still Prince Jing and had yet to evolve into a true tyrant. Li Yu deliberately adopted a humbler demeanor for the purpose of this task. If he was going to be Prince Jing's pet fish, he had to try and get into his owner's good graces. But it was a tall order to ask Prince Jing to recognize devotion from just the movements of a fish. Li Yu blew bubbles into his mouth with sore. Prince Jing's eyes flicked over, but his gaze remained impassive, like an ice-capped mountain that was impossible to melt. Li Yu very quickly exhausted himself. After everything he did to try to get into the prince's good graces, he couldn't even get him to crack the ghost of a smile. Wang Zigongong, however, snorted and chuckled. Look, your highness, the fish you saved has come back to life. It's even sneezing. Wang Zi grinned wildly from behind Prince Jing, cheerily watching the little carp blow bubbles. How intriguing. Wang Zi didn't think the fish would survive after seeing how limp and motionless it had been earlier, but in only a short amount of time it was brimming with energy again. Hello? Can't you get it right? I'm not sneezing. I'm saying hi. Li Yu blew an annoyed bubble at Wang Zi. Oh, well, it was pointless. It wasn't like he could make humans understand fish. Swishing his tail hurt too much, so he could only continue blowing bubbles. But this only served to deepen Wang Zi's misunderstanding. Concerned about the fish's excessive amount of bubble blowing, he asked Prince Jing carefully, "Your Highness, is the fish sick? Why does it keep sneezing?" "You're the one sneezing! Your whole family's sneezing!" Little fish is getting offended. Before Prince Jing could react, poor misunderstood Li Yu blew a long string of angry bubbles. Wang Zi immediately grew nervous. Your Highness? Is this fish choking on water?" Prince Jing listened silently. He might not be able to speak, but he wasn't deaf or blind. His mind was as sharp as a knife. How could a fish sneeze or choke on water? Wang Zi was clearly just trying to coax a smile out of him. That being said, this fish, it was a little too lively. Miao Tianchi had never seen a fish this animated before. As he gazed down at the fish that kept blowing bubbles in the porcelain tank and the leaf blanketed over its body, his lips involuntarily twitched upward into a smile. He made him smile! The system probably felt bad for Prince Jing's original fate and wants Li Yu to change his destiny. Yes. Yes, he's like, go be a cute fish. Pets are known to change people's personality, make them kinder. This is your job. Go be the cutest fish. But he's already doing a good job. He made him smile. Okay, I'm going to pause for a minute so I can get some drinks. My mouth's getting really dry. But what do you guys think of this so far? I love this book. I absolutely love this series so much. It's so good. I already made small fan art. Oh my gosh, Ohilia! Heck yeah! This story is very good and funny. It is. Oh, I'm so glad you guys are enjoying it. Maybe I can do like more streams in the future. Because I do want to pick back up on Danmei reading. Because we've taken a little break from reading Danmei. So I need to set up a good schedule for Danmei reading. I could probably do most of it over on Twitch. To not like overwhelm my YouTube channel. But I do want to do maybe at least one stream a week of reading Danmei. Like Wednesday, we kind of rotate what we're streaming. So, maybe not Wednesday streams every week. I'm sure people will get tired of that. But I would like to stream at least once a week with Danmei in the future. We could do the disabled tyrant's beloved pet fish. I just gotta figure out what would be like the best day to do it for everyone. No joke, whenever I started reading this book the first time, I was so... I was cracking up and like enjoying it so much. I was like bombarding everybody I knew with this book. I'm like, listen, you need to read this. Even my friends that are like not into like Danmei and stuff, I'm like, listen. Listen, this will change your life. We'll get started again here in a minute. I was just taking a minute to chew on some gum. because gum actually helps your mouth when it's like dry. That's really weird. I don't think a lot of people realize that, but gum promotes saliva production. So sometimes just chewing on gum a little bit really helps. But I would love to see your fan art, Ohilia. I normally stream for about 2 hours whenever we do a live stream, so we'll definitely be reading for another 30 minutes at least. Just posted it on Discord. Don't mind if I yes, I'm gonna go look. I do have a Discord channel where everybody can go to hang out to talk about books and everything and our streams. Let's see. Good night. I must attract the prince. Do my scales look good? Oh my gosh, I'm looking in the little mirror. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, look at him with his little leaf blankie. Oh my gosh, I love this. Can I share this? I'll finish it later. Okay, it's not done yet. I have been mermaid piled on Twitter, liking and reporting art of every person's mermaid art. Yes, it is Mermay. I have been like going through the tags. I'm like, yes. Yes, of course. Okay, then I'll go ahead and share it real quick. Yeah, I like really love Mermay. There was a thread, a Grandmaster Demonic Cultivation thread that was going on Twitter last year. It was about mermaids, like Wei Wuxian was a mermaid and Ling Wenji was a fisherman. And oh my god, I like love that thread. I was checking it every day and I was hoping the author would pick it up again this year because I hadn't worked on it in a while. But I think they're going through some things, so they're not going to update it right now. But I hope they will in the future. Okay, here we go. Look. Good night, him and his little fishy. His little blankie. I must attract the prince. Mwah, little kissy. Do my scales look good? This boy needs a mirror. He needs a mirror so he can enjoy himself. You had me at Mermaid Wei Wuxian. That's way too much power to give that man. Oh my god, yes. And to make it even better. Oh, Ohilia, thank you so much for little doodle. I love it. I look forward to seeing what it looks like when it's completed. But to make that thread even better, he actually laid eggs on the underside of the boat. And he was so protective of those eggs. He was like, no, don't you dare touch my eggs. And I mean, he was... Lang Wenji was like, okay, you ferocious thing. And just like giving him fish. He would just give him fish every now and then because Wei Wuxian was stealing the fish from him to eat. So he was just like, okay, and give him fish every now and then. And then after a while, there was four or five little baby fish, little babies trying to climb up to go get fishies. And Wei Wuxian just kept grabbing them and pulling them back down. So little babies go meet, 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 trying to climb up on the thing, and he just grabbing them, pulling them back down like you didn't see anything. It was so good. It was so good. For next year, Mermaid, read Transmigrate into the Violent Boss's Little Mermaid. I haven't read that one yet. Li Yu, most prettiest fish in the world. Prince Jing approves. Yes. Everyone's always making him a protective mother. He should treat the children's stepdad that way. Alrighty, we're gonna dive back in. I was also thinking I could now finish reading The Little Mushroom eventually, because we read chapter 1 because I had gotten permission from the publishing company to only read like the preview chapter, but now the publishing company doesn't exist, so technically I could read more of that eventually. Okay. Let's dive back in and see if his cuteness can win over the Tyrant. I heard The Little Mushroom said. I have no clue. That I actually have not read The Little Mushroom. I have the book. I've had the book for several years. I have both of the books, and the only part I've read has been what I've read on stream or in the video because I got distracted. Okay. If it's sad, maybe we won't read it. Let me see. Okay, yeah, he just smiled. Master! Prince Jing, look over here! Over here! Lying under the blanket made moving a little cumbersome. Li Yu hesitated for a brief moment before abandoning the leaf blanket he had acquired not long ago to swim happily towards Prince Jing. The second task in the main quest was to interact with the Tyrant. Despite all the bubbles he'd blown just now, no prompts had popped up, so the system must not count that as interaction. This fish scamming system never told him what constituted interacting. Lin Yu had to just keep throwing things at the wall and hope one of them would stick. He barely come face to face with Prince Jing now, so he really had to take advantage of this opportunity and complete the second task in one go. It was strange, though. Prince Jing was born mute and couldn't talk. Li Yu was a fish, and no one could understand him, effectively making him mute as well. In a way, him and the prince had the same struggle, but since neither of them could speak, there was no way for them to communicate with each other. How were they supposed to interact? Li Yu went through his mental catalog of tricks. As his eyes landed on the underwater plant, the cursed seaweed dance came to mind. Maybe he should do a bit of the seaweed dance for Prince Jing. The more he thought about it, the more he warmed up to the idea. If he couldn't find a chance to interact with the prince, he'd just have to create one himself. But with his injuries this severe, he couldn't just sway his tail however he liked. He'd just have to keep his lower half still and focus on moving his upper half, which had seen the least amount of harm. Imagining him as a cute underwater plant, Li Yu just went for it, wriggling the top half of his body up and down in an exaggerated wave. Mute Tianqi and Wang Zi were at a loss for words. Prince Jing stared at the little carp. He was starting to think this fish was a little abnormal. But Prince Jing's face didn't betray any of his thoughts. He wasn't someone who let his emotions show easily, no matter how surprised he was. Wang Zi, who was standing off to the side, felt like his eyes were playing tricks on him. He swallowed hard and said, Your Highness, did Did this fish pull a muscle? Wang Zi's first thought that the fish, with all its swaying, was trying to please Prince Jing. But Wang Gonggong had only ever heard of cats and dogs who were intelligent enough to connect with humans. Could this fish be that clever too? Logically, they couldn't. Therefore, Wang Gonggong was more inclined to believe the fish must have pulled a muscle. They're like, oh, he's not smart enough to try to please us. There's an ongoing manga adaptation of Little Mushroom. Yeah, I do know about that. I haven't read it. Didn't the artist quit and they're getting a new artist? Li Yu is doing a mating dance for Prince Jing. Li Yu gapped. You pulled a muscle? Your whole family has pulled a muscle. Wang Zi was such a mood killer. Lin Yu didn't want to dance anymore. The system didn't say a thing. Even though Lin Yu had danced for so long, he stopped dancing out of spite and drifted down to rest on the bed of white rocks. Swimming was the first ability he unlocked after his transmigration. Now that he could float and sink as he wished, he felt incredibly comfortable. Prince Jing's eyes never left Li Yu. Seeing that the fish had stopped moving, he seemed to be contemplating something. Wang Yi immediately latched onto a new topic of conversation. Your Highness, why did the fish stop moving? Li Yu bristled. It was so hard being a pet. Why was there always a hater? He's like, I'm moving, I'm being cute, and you guys think I'm sick. Now I'm tired, I'm gonna rest, and now you guys are like, why are you not moving? Oh, it was the Urha, not the little mushroom one. That is right. I'll never forget the way they bullied the Urha manga artist into quitting. I think that's the same with Little Mushroom. Or was it Little Mushroom was quitting as well? Yeah, I mean, oh, it's horrible. I hate it when people do that. It's like, let us enjoy it. Stop being mean. These artists are already, like, making such gorgeous artworks. Be nice to them. Exercising great restraint, Li Yu turned around. As much as he wanted to sulk, he had a task to complete. Hey, system, what counts as interacting? Li Yu tried to call out to the system. And the seaweed dance wasn't enough. This was going to be way too hard. Perhaps the system was getting impatient too, because it decided to offer him a hint. Interacting involves a back and forth. Lin Yu finally understood why, despite all his efforts, he wasn't able to complete step 2. This whole time he was the only one moving vigorously, while Prince Jing remained unmoved. That couldn't be considered a back and forth at all, but how could he get Prince Jing to reciprocate? Li Yu sank deep into thoughts. Not even the seaweed dance was enough to sway his tyrant master. Sob, sob, sob. It was much too hard being a fish. While Li Yu was preoccupied with his dilemma, Wang Zi stared at the fish, pondering. Wang Yi had served Prince Jing for many years, so he knew that His Highness's countenance was cold and his heart colder. It was rare for him to care about anything or anyone, but Prince Jing had not only found and saved this little carp, he even brought it here with his own 2 hands. So what did this unusual act of saving the fish mean? It meant the fish had caught the Highness's interest. His Highness had taken a liking to this fish. Prince Jing had even ordered him to prepare the fish tank to put the fish into. Didn't all these signs point to him wanting to keep it as a pet? From Wang Zi's perspective, Li Yu is the most strangest fish he'd ever seen. Yes. Yes, he is a little weirdo. That reminds me of one of my favorite mangas got discontinued just when we were about to witness the full crash out. The author had to drop it because of a serious health issue. I cried. Oh, I mean, that's kind of different than people like being, bullied and mean to the artist. If someone actually had to quit because of their health. That's like different, but that's still very sad when that happens. I understand, Liu. It is hard being a pet fish. I bet it really is. Wang Yu was so happy he couldn't help smiling. Who cared what kind of pet he wanted to keep? There was finally a hint of warmth in this ice-cold prince. Wang Yi made a few subtle comments, but didn't dare say anything too pointed. He was afraid that if he overstepped, Prince Jing's temper would flare up and he wouldn't want the fish anymore. That was why Wang Zi kept beating around the bush. He noticed the prince's eyes hadn't left the little carp, steadily following its movements. While Prince Jing didn't react in any obvious way, when the little carp wiggled around, he also didn't immediately turn around and leave. When the little carp stopped swimming, the prince's expression remained inscrutable, but the corner of his mouth that had just lifted just a little fell back down. He was slightly unhappy. Wang Zi fretted on the inside as he watched the scene unfolding before him. This isn't how you take care of a fish. You can't just look. Wang Zi guessed that Prince Jing had never kept a fish before, nor any other kind of pet, and was probably at a bit of a loss. He suggested, Your Highness, this fish, might it be hungry? Mo Tianqi shot a fleeting glance at him. Correctly interpreting his silence as a command for him to continue, Wang Yi explained with a smile. Humans lose energy when they're hungry. This lowly servant is thinking perhaps the fish is the same. Perhaps it'll have more strength when it's full. I already prepared some fish feed. Shall I feed it some? Myo Tianqi mulled over before giving a small nod. Wang Xi bowed, then quickly produced 2 bamboo boxes from its sleeves. One was filled with red fish feed, the other with green fish feed. Each piece was the size of a grain of rice. As Prince Jing watched quietly, Wang Zi sprinkled a few pieces into the porcelain tank. Li Yu, who had been deeply engrossed in his thoughts, suddenly smelled food. His stomach immediately growled, reminding them that he hadn't eaten anything at all in the time he spent as a fish. Was there delicious food here? Li Yu glanced around at his surroundings, his attention soon catching on the flecks of green and red floating in the water. Whatever it was, it smelled amazing, and even more tantalizing than the delicacies he had eaten as a human. He couldn't complete his quest on an empty stomach, Li Yu reasoned, and immediately dashed towards the source of the scent, circling one of the red pieces. This seemed to be fish food? He heard fish food was made from either flour or bugs. He didn't know which kind this was, but it smelled so good. He really wanted to eat it. Li Yu cursed himself for acclimating to fish taste so quickly, but he was practically drooling. In the end, his hunger triumphed over his dignity. How exactly did fish eat again? Li Yu approached cautiously, batting at the fish feed lightly with his fin. Suddenly, he felt an unyielding gaze on him. Li Yu looked up directly into Prince Jing's ink-black eyes staring down at him without blinking. Li Yu froze. He had originally wanted to use his fin to hold the fish feed and eat like a civilized person, but if Prince Jing noticed something was off... Prince Jing was a mute, sure, but his mind was still as sharp as a dagger. Li Yu hurriedly chomped down on the fish feed, then dove under the safety of his leaf, too embarrassed to eat like a fish in front of Prince Jing. Better to hide somewhere while he ate, then go back to working on his quest. Li Yu gulped down a few bites of the fragrant food melting in his mouth. Thank God it was made from flour and not bugs. But why did it smell like fish-flavored shredded pork? Let's see. A famous Sichuan dish. I want to try it. Who cared as long as he had food? Fish-flavored shredded pork was good. So what was there to complain about? He couldn't eat human food anymore. So this was actually a balm to his soul. Liu scarfed down the entire piece of red fish food, but his stomach was still rumbling. He decided to sneak out and grab a few more pieces. Hyper aware that Prince Jing was scrutinizing his every move and petrified he might notice something unusual, Li Yu made sure to only take one piece per excursion. He would seize one, take it away, and only sneak out for another one once he finished the one he already had. As he ate, he soon realized the red pieces tasted much better than the green pieces. The green pieces were a little bland. It's so sad they can't see his tears since he's surrounded by water. Damn, Wangzi, why did you call Prince Jing heartless? Li Yu has fish instincts now. He does. He's like, I smell food. He still wanted to pick it up with his fin and hold it like a civilized person. Just eat. It's not like he can spill the beans. Oh my gosh. It's already weird that you're taking it and going to hide under your leaf blanket to eat, buddy. That's not normal fish behavior. Prince Jing watched his gaze deep as the little carp ate. For just a moment, he thought the way the little carp batted the fish food looked almost like a human. But it happened so quickly, he couldn't be sure. Suspicion! Alright, I think this is going to be our last chapter of the stream. Chapter 5, The Fish Was Petted. Prince Jing was still watching the fish intently when Wang Zi handed him both boxes of fish food. Wang Zi's eyes were filled with anticipation. Having served Prince Jing for many years, Wang Zi knew exactly what his master wanted without the prince having to say a single word. Smiling, he said sincerely, Your Highness, this old servant has a few things to take care of, but the fish still seems to be hungry. Could you help me feed the fish? Mo Tianqi paused for a moment, surprised. Wang Zi pushed the boxes towards him and continued very seriously. There are 2 kinds of feed. The red one tastes like fish-flavored shredded pork, and the green one is mushroom and greens. The servant thinks the little carp prefers the red one. Miao Tianqi couldn't help but agree. The little carp did seem to have more life when he ate the red feed. Miao Tianqi silently accepted the red feed box. Wang Zi smiled until his eyes looked like crescent moons. After reminding Prince Jing not to overfeed the little fish, he made up some excuse and left the 2 of them alone. Miao Tianqi hesitated, holding the box of fish feed. After all, he was treading in unfamiliar waters here. Down below, Li Yu waited and waited. But when it didn't seem like Wang Zi was going to feed him anymore, the hungry little carp swam up to the water surface, waiting expectantly. Li Yu and Prince Jing, fish and human, stared into each other's eyes. Li Yu was startled. He hadn't expected to see Prince Jing. Then he remembered he was merely a fish. It didn't matter how long he stared at Prince Jing. The prince probably wouldn't notice. What was Prince Jing about to do? Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious. That is the theme, okay? That is the theme song playing in the background. This is totally normal fish behavior. Source, trust me, bro. What's stopping him from riding on the algae in the tank? I don't think there's algae in the tank yet. This is a brand new tank. So it's very clean. Fish boy should try to cultivate as much respect as the cat. Red fish food, 1. Green fish food, 0. Yes. I mean, I would probably go after that, the red one too, honestly. Pork or greens? I would go after the pork. Oh man, I want it now. It's making me think of when I went to this convention and they had this raw. They were making yakisoba, and they were making it right there, and they were adding these fish shreds, fish flake shred things on top, and it was so good and smoky. So I'm thinking about that, how like that tasted, like all smoky and delicious. I'm like, yes, yes, please. Okay, is he gonna feed him? Is he gonna feed him? Li Yu couldn't figure it out. The tall, imposing youth couldn't speak, always keeping his thoughts hidden behind those dark, fathomless eyes. Miao Tianxi stood in front of the tank for a full 10 minutes before he threw a handful of red pellets into the water with a little too much force, nearly pelting Li Yu with the torrential downpour of fish food. Li Yu gaped at the Prince Jing in shock. He almost couldn't believe it. By the time he realized what had happened, his body had already instinctively launched itself at the fish food Prince Jing had tossed in. Turning in a beautiful curve in the water, the little carp carefully held the food in his mouth. In his chest, his heart went pit-a-pat. Not only had the tyrant saved him, he'd even personally fed him. As soon as he swallowed the fish food, the system, which had been silent up till now, suddenly came to life. Congratulations, user! You have completed the second part of the Mo Pet System main quest. Tyrant's priceless pet fish. Interact with the tyrant. Congratulations! You will now receive the corresponding reward. Okay, that sounded too human. Congratulations! You will now receive the corresponding reward. Li Yu could have burst into tears. So this is what interacting meant. In one big gulp, he devoured the last of the food that Prince Jing had tossed in. Belly full and fit to bursting, Li Yu drifted down to lie on the bed of snowy white rocks to take a quick nap. Anyone, human or fish, would feel sleepy after eating a full meal. Now that the second task was taken care of, Li Yu didn't think it would be too late if he waited to collect his reward and took a little nap first. Thankfully, although the experience had been frightening, nothing dangerous had happened. Li Yu couldn't fall asleep whenever he wanted when he had been a human, but he had no such problem now. As a fish, he could sleep however he wanted, upright or lying down. Very soon, Li Yu fell into an embrace of a dream. He got his belly full and he's gonna go take a nap. Prince Jing feeding his beloved pet fish. Li Ju, how romantic. Yes. It's the first step. Okay, actually a second step. First step was saving him. But oh, I love their interactions. It just gets better and better. Recalling what Wang Zi had said, Prince Jing glanced at the little carp, then tapped on the tank with 2 fingers. Li Yu, who had been teetering on the precipice of sleep, was jolted awake by the sound. What is it? I want to sleep. Some people still have injuries to recover from. If it hadn't been for the quest, Li Yu wouldn't want to have anything to do with the tyrant at all. Having noticed that the fish was still lying limply on the rock, Prince Jing extended a hand. Li Yu, who was still attempting to fall back asleep, felt the water move. What's happening? Li Yu was immediately wide awake, his terror chased away by any notions of sleep. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw Prince Jing's hand reaching into the tank. Li Yu flinched, fighting the urge to swish his tail. He was still injured for one thing, so moving his tail hurt. And secondly, daring to swish his tail in the Prince Jing's face would only mean one thing: a dead fish. Li Yu felt like his heart was strapped to a roller coaster, but, to his surprise, Prince Jing did not immediately grab him. Instead, he nudged him lightly off the bed of snowy white rock. Did Prince Jing not want him to go to sleep? Li Yu was utterly confused as Prince Jing's fingers pushed him forward. Prodded by the prince's fingers, Li Yu swam around nearly the entirety of the tank. He didn't know what Prince Jing wanted. Fear slowly crept over his heart, but after a while he realized the prince seemed perfectly content with nudging him around, and didn't seem to want to do anything else. Li Yu's pulse gradually calmed down. Occasionally he'd give a few lazy swipes of his fin as a show of cooperation. Inevitably, his soft, tender fin would brush against Prince Jing's finger. Have to go now, going to do the dishes and do treadmill. Bye, Sparrow. Bye, Tamashi. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you have a great day. There is no way I'm enjoying fish Yahweh. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Mute froze. His stare drilled holes into the insolent fish, who was completely unaware of what it had just done. If a person had dared to be so impudent, Prince Jing would have them torn limb from limb without question. But this was a fish, not a person. There was no need to be so harsh. Prince Jing's defenses were lowered, and he smirked, the corner of his lips lifting mischievously. Li Yu was splashing around in the water with his fins when the tip of his tail felt hot. Immediately he felt an unnerving sensation emanating from back there. He turned his head to look. The tyrant's expression was impassive as always, but his hand, the same hand that would kill without hesitation, what was it doing? Ow! Don't curl my tail around your finger. My private area is right there. It tickles. Don't touch wherever you want. Hey! The little carp's tail trembled violently. Help! He didn't think the tyrant would pet a fish. With Prince Jing pushing him along, Li Yu made several laps around the tank and steadily felt more and more energetic. At last, the prince finally stopped and let him go. Lin Yu swam by himself for a while and soon realized his stomach no longer felt bloated. Was Prince Jing forcing him to swim to give him a chance to digest the enormous meal he'd just eaten? There's no way, right? He thought, amused. He was pretty sure Prince Jing wasn't the kind of person who'd look out for a little animal. Li Yu added this incident to the collection of other unsolved mysteries, where it joined Prince Jing in saving his injured and unconscious self. Prince Jing raised his eyebrows slightly as he realized his sleeve had gotten wet. Li Yu thought Prince Jing would change immediately. After all, he was a prince, accustomed to a life of luxury and riches. There was no way he'd allow himself to wear dirty clothes, even if it was just a wet sleeve. Prince Jing left shortly after, just as Li Yu expected. Li Yu could no longer see his face peering at him from above the tank. But oddly enough, Li Yu didn't hear the sound of the door opening and closing. What kind of master would change by himself? Servants were always at their beck and call to help with things like that. Although Prince Jing couldn't speak, he could still open the door and order for someone outside to wait on him. Li Yu waited and waited, but didn't hear anything. After the nap he'd taken, his tail didn't throb as much, and he felt a lot better. It seemed like the fish recovered faster than humans. Either that, or it was because he had the system. Li Yu decided to try using his tail again. Unless Prince Jing walked over himself, it was practically impossible to see the prince from Li Yu's position inside the fish tank. Li Yu wanted to confirm that the prince wasn't in the room anymore before collecting his reward from the Mopet system, just in case the prince wanted to play with him again, only to find an unconscious fish. Li Yu tested his tail, swishing it back and forth a few times. It didn't hurt anymore. He summoned every bit of power he had, and with a swoosh managed to launch himself high into the air. Before his leap of faith, Li Yu had mentally prepared himself to take a good look at the world outside his tank. The room was just as he imagined, ornate and magnificent, befitting a prince. There's Prince Jing! He's still in the room! The moment he leapt into the air, he spotted Prince Jing's figure, standing only a few meters away. His black robes had yet to be fastened completely, so Li Yu had an unobstructed view of the smooth lines of his muscles. Dark eyes gazed towards the little carp, shocked and stunned. For a moment, man and fish stared at each other. Oh no! How did he manage to catch Prince Jing in such a state of undress? He thought he would have finished changing by now. In addition to overestimating how quickly Prince Jing would get changed, Li Yu must have been confused and underestimated the complexity of historical clothing. Now it looked like he was some pervert spying on a beautiful man. Li Yu quickly took it all in. Everything he was supposed to see, as well as everything he wasn't. His face burning, he twisted his body and dove back into the fish tank with a little splash. Why didn't this Prince Jing hide behind something if he was going to change? All right, fine. There was only a fish in the room with him. There was no need for him to hide anything. Li Yu darted under his leaf blanket as soon as he heard Prince Jing's footsteps approaching. Prince Jing may not have realized Li Yu had been looking at him, but he wasn't blind. He definitely would have noticed a fish jumping straight out of a tank, right? The prince definitely noticed. Li Yu lay there, heart in his throat, trying his best to pretend he was a normal fish. By now, Prince Jing had already arrived at the tank. Once again, he felt the uneasy sensation of the prince's piercing gaze on him. It felt like there was someone pointing a blade at his back. Li Yu discreetly turned around so that his tail was facing Prince Jing, in an effort to cover up what he just did. Your Highness! Your Highness! Before Prince Jing could do anything, Wang Zi's anxious call came from outside. Li Yu let out a sigh of relief. Prince Jing fastened his jade buttons and took one last long look at the suspicious little fish. Then he strolled to the door and pulled it open. Wang Zi greeted him respectfully. Your Highness, the Emperor has sent someone. I forgot this is ancient China and there isn't TikTok, so of course this fish is the best entertainment. Yes, he is. Let's see. Okay, we only have a little over a page left. The Emperor was Prince Jing's father. The prince's expression turned serious as he followed Wang Zi out to accept the imperial edict. Prince Jing was finally gone. Oh my god, my brain. Li Yu was delighted, but he stayed as still as a statue, pretending he didn't understand anything that was happening outside his fish tank. After the sound of footsteps faded into the distance, he swam to a quiet corner of the tank and quickly entered the system. A second part of the priceless pet fish quest was complete, which meant he could finally collect his reward of inventory space. And while he was at it, he also had to take a look at what the third step was. At this rate, he'd surely be turning back into a human any day now. Li Yu was very pleased with himself. He had just entered the system when a prompt popped up, asking him if he'd like to check out his inventory. Li Yu selected yes, overjoyed, and his inventory immediately opened up before his eyes, giving him a clear view of the inside. All Li Yu's praises caught in his throat as soon as he laid eyes on it. He thought his inventory would at least be the size of a storage room, but this was about the size of an adult's palm. No way! What's the point of having such a tiny space? So stingy! The system replied, since the user thinks his space is too small, would you like to give up your reward? Li Yu had almost forgotten the system could read his thoughts and shook his head hurriedly. No, it's better than nothing. There is currently only one inventory slot, the system informed him. Side quests can increase inventory slots. That's more like it, as long as I can get more. But this was all the space he had for now. What could he put in it? At most, he could probably fit 1 or 2 things in there. Despite having only been a fish for a few hours, Li Yu had been entertaining a lot of secret daydreams about this space. He had envisioned being able to store an enormous pile of fish feed, a bunch of medicine for his injuries, or even a large tank of fresh water for emergencies. That way he could be rich and carefree fish. But there was two problems. First, he hadn't managed to acquire any of those things. And second, it turned out he only had a tiny amount of space. For a moment, he was at a loss for what he could even do with the little resources he had. Meanwhile, Prince Jing had stepped out to receive an imperial edict, but who knew when he'd be back? He didn't have much time, so he just had to accept the space now and figure it out later. A ray of light shot out from the inventory, landing somewhere near Li Yu's left fin. When he took a look after the light had faded, he realized one of the scales beneath his fin had changed into the color of jade. So he now has a little green... He now has a little green scale. Wait, so the fish has pockets now? He does. He's powerful. He's a little palm-sized fish, so he is very small right now. So he's only a couple inches, and he has an inventory space about as big as himself. So a little palm-sized space. So he can only fit some very small things in there. I love how he's like, he had grand visions of storing a whole bunch of fish food and medicine and like a fish tank. He wanted to be a carefree rich fish. Oh gosh. A little stinker. Okay, that is all we're going to be reading today. If people enjoy this, I would love to have another reading in the future. I always enjoy rereading this. Like, I have reread this book at least 2 or 3 times, and I would love to do it again. Interesting, he has inventory. Yes, he does, Peridot. As he completes quests, he will unlock more things. Like, so far he has unlocked, he has increased his tail strength, and he has unlocked a little bitty inventory spot. So the more he unlocks as he goes through the quest, the better the rewards. Most of the time. I mean, the system still wants to troll him. This is Shen Yun. Just add some, I'm not interested in men, and that's Shin Kun Kyu, always wanting to be spoilt. Yeah. Yes. Oh, okay. I am going to leave this here, and I'm gonna go get me num-nums now. Reading about the, fish-flavored pork has made me hungry, and I want that, like, delicious Asian noodles with the toppings on it, but I don't have that, so I have to make do with what I have at the moment. But in the future, I definitely have to go get some Asian, because now I want Asian. Imagine you coming to your fish tank and seeing random items appear that you didn't put in. I mean, you just have to wait and see what happens. There may or may not be a moment like that in the future. Alright, anybody watching this VOD in the future, please leave a like to let me know you would love to